Biology of the orca. The orca, also known as the killer whale, is one of the most powerful predators in the ocean. They are extremely intelligent creatures that have been found to have different cultures in different seas. They are known to be very playful and often display this behavior breaching and slapping the water. However, they can also be destructive and have been known to damage boats. There are many different populations of orcas with their own unique diets, social structure, and behavior. In fact, some populations are so unique that scientists have named them different ecotypes. This level of variation is not seen in any other marine species, making them a species of great interest to marine biologists. Orcas are the largest species of the oceanic dolphin family, and they have a varied diet. They are known to hunt marine mammals such as seals, and they also eat fish, squid, and seabirds. They are incredibly social animals, and this is one of the reasons they are able to adapt so easily. A group of orcas is known as a pod, and the pod is led by the oldest female. Pods can be as small as 5 or 6 orcas, or as large as 50, but they are always made up of a mixture of females and males. Orca mother offspring are very similar to human races, as different pods have different physical adaptations to the different environments in which they live. The dorsal fin of a male orca can be up to 1.8 meters tall. That's taller than the average adult human. These fins are the tallest of all marine mammals and are used to regulate body temperature, as orcas have a thick layer of insulating blubber. With the male orca being a large portion of the fins, scientific information suggests that it may have evolved specifically to show dominance and avoid conflict between pods. However, captive male orcas often have a flopped fin on one side, and it is believed that this is due to a lack of space to properly exercise this communication and thermoregulation method. Echolocation is the most remarkable sense of the orca. By emitting clicks that are produced in the nasal passages and then bouncing off from their forehead, the orca can determine the location, distance, and shape of any surrounding items in the water. This is important for hunting and navigation, and shows just how advanced these creatures are. Evolutionary history of orcas. Orcas are the most widely distributed whale species. Scientists have been able to trace their evolutionary history back to the Oligocene epoch, which occurred around 25 million years ago. The Oligocene epoch was a time of great global climatic change. The world started to cool down, and ice sheets began to form in Antarctica. Sea levels dropped, and the larger baleen whales, which feed by straining huge amounts of plankton and small animals from the sea through baleen plates in their mouths, became restricted to feeding in specific areas. However, the smaller and more intelligent toothed whales like the orca stayed in the open seas. As a result, whale species had to evolve and adapt. The orca is no exception to such changes. Modern orcas, or Orcinus orca, have some of the largest brains of all marine mammals and can also adapt their brainwave patterns. This, and the formation of complex social groups, has led some scientists to suggest that they may be capable of higher reasoning and are therefore classed as a great whale species. Despite the orca's generalized anatomy and seemingly limitless ability to adapt, there are observable regional differences in orca size, color, social structure, diet, and behavior. Scientists classify orcas into 3 to 5 different types, but the orca is one of the least understood marine mammals. Scientists are still to unlock many orca secrets, such as what other sounds or frequencies they use to communicate, their genetics, and how they live in such complex social structures. Anatomy and physical characteristics of the orca. The orca exhibits remarkable physical adaptations to its environment. The streamlined body of the orca is perfect for life in the ocean. Its fusiform, or tapered at both ends, shape is common in many aquatic animals and fish. This body shape decreases the drag. The black and white pattern on the orca's dorsal surface is known as disruptive coloration. This is a type of camouflage that breaks up the outline of the orca's body. Unlike most mammals, the orca lacks a layer of blubber. Its thick layer of fat below the skin is less extensive than that of many other cetacean species. However, it is still vital for insulation in cold waters and serves as a reserve for food storage. It can be up to 10 centimeters thick. The orca also has a high, round, and prominent dorsal fin and a pair of large, highly modified pectoral flippers. The dorsal fin is a particularly distinctive feature of male orcas, being taller and more elongated in shape. It is composed of tough, fibrous connective tissue and no bones, and they can grow to be up to 1.8 meters high. The two flippers are mainly used for steering and stopping, but they have other uses as well. They are used for balance, warmth, and scratching. Social structure and communication of orcas. A unique aspect of orcas is that their social and family life is interwoven with their method of communication. Orcas are called the wolves of the sea because, like wolves, they live and hunt in groups. These groups are called pods. Pod members are in constant social contact. They travel and hunt together, share food, and protect each other. Most pods are matrilineal, which means that pods are based on a female or matriarch and her descendants, and all members of the pod are usually related, to some degree, to the matriarch. Pods are relatively stable in terms of membership and range. They may have up to 40 individuals, with the larger, more stable pods found in colder waters. Members of the same pod are in constant acoustic and physical communication with each other. Pods use sound to coordinate movement and communicate about food, warning signals, and other important information. They can stay in touch with each other, even while spread out over a large area. Every group of orcas has its own set of calls or dialect. Each pod has distinctive noises that are made up of clicks, whistles, and pulse calls. They use echolocation to communicate with one another and to hunt. This process involves sending out a click, which travels through the water, before hitting an object, reflecting back, and being picked up by the orca again. By measuring the time it takes for the click to return, the orca can work out how far away the object is and its size. Echolocation is a vital tool for orcas when hunting and navigating through the ocean's darker depths. As we have discovered, the method and purpose of communication among orcas is a complex aspect of their social structure. I find it interesting to note how social and communicative cohesion is integral to the survival and lifestyle of this incredible species. Hunting and feeding habits of orcas. It is not known how much orcas need to eat to survive in the wild, but the species is thought to have one of the most varied diets of all marine mammals, with nearly 100 different species recorded as prey. However, it is known that when in captivity, orca feeding can be very different from wild orca feeding. Orcas in aquariums are usually fed on a diet of thawed dead fish, which is very different from the activity of hunting. Orcas are apex predators. They are the largest hunters in their environment and have no natural predators. The type of prey can affect the style of hunting that the orcapod will use. For example, in the Antarctic, orcapods have been observed using the waves created by their own bodies to wash seals floating on ice floes in the sea, making them easier to catch. However, different populations are specialized in what they hunt. For example, populations living in the Northeast Atlantic are thought to feed exclusively on herring. Orcas are very adaptable animals. They are found in every single ocean and often venture inland into coastal waters. This adaptability is due to their varied diet, which can range from salmon, herring, and other fish, to marine mammals such as seals, and even other whales. Every orcapod has its own unique set of hunting strategies and social behaviors, leading to a varied diet among different populations across the world. The pod will, as for much of the time, spread out and travel across its territory until a suitable prey item is found. Once a target has been identified, the pod will come together to form a hunting group. Orcas, also known as killer whales, are the largest members of the dolphin family. They are highly intelligent and social animals, communicating with each other using various clicks, whistles, and pulsing sounds. In the wild, orcas can live for 50 to 80 years or more, with females living longer than males on average. However, little is known about how long they can live because their lifespan cannot be determined. The oldest known orca is thought to have been up to 105 years old, although this is a rare exception. Conservation and threats to the orca population. Loss of prey species, pollution, and habitat disturbance all represent significant threats to orca populations. But the single greatest threat for many years has been the live capture of orcas for the aquarium industry. Most famously, this practice focused on Penn Cove in Puget Sound during the 1960s and 1970s. A number of young orca whales were captured and sold to marine parks after being rounded up using speedboats, aircraft, and underwater explosives to drive them into a confined area. The most notorious of these captures was the removal of Lolita from the southern resident population. Despite the practice of live capture being highly contentious and having been halted in the Northern Hemisphere in the late 1970s, the long-term effects are still being felt by the Puget Sound orca population today. When live captures were at their height, orca populations were targeted all over the world, from Iceland to Argentina. Almost 100 individuals were taken into captivity, most of which were sourced from the Pacific Northwest population. Many were displayed in shows and used for breeding programs, in many cases being moved from one aquarium to another multiple times, but the vast majority died in captivity. Now, only a few survivors remain, and it is clear that the genetic diversity of this population has been significantly reduced. The effects of live capture on the social structure and tight-knit family groups of orcas have also been well documented, particularly by members of the southern resident population who have been observed showing stress and anxious behaviors. This further decreases reproductive success and calf survival, further compounding the issue of a shrinking population. This exploitation from the live capture industry, therefore, represents an egregious abuse of orca populations and an active threat to the continued survival of the species. However, as public opinion shifts against the use of animals in entertainment, and as our understanding of orca behavior and ecology increases, the conditions for such exploitative practices are gradually being eroded. The focus of conservation efforts in recent times has shifted from live capture concerns to more complex and long-term threats, such as habitat degradation and chemical pollution.